Hi everyone, how you doing? Lance here. We're going to be doing the, what are we doing? We're going to do the, just switch to here. Okay, we're going to be doing the Perl Weekly Challenge number 74. So I'm trying to do these sort of Tuesday and Thursday nights, sort of 9 till 10 UK time. That's what I'm going for at the moment. So yeah, let's have a quick scroll through. So if you haven't been, it's perlweeklychallenge.org. It's really quite a fun challenge. So let's scroll down. So this is the summary of last week's challenge. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Very kind. So it's done in a whole bunch of different languages: Haskell, Lisp, Erlang, Python, Ruby, Swift, TCL, Tickle. R and Rust, not to forget, of course, Perl, Python, and Raku, Ruby. There's a whole bunch of languages. You can always come back and have a look at how other people have done it. People are writing blog posts about it. People are doing reviews of the different, like how you look at it. So new people joining all the time. So just join in. It's pretty easy. I keep meaning to use this easy PWC script, but keep forgetting to do it. So one day I'll do that, but not this week. So let's have a look at this week's challenge. So I'm just going to do task 1 tonight. Task 1 is this majority element. And what we can do is we've got an array of integers size n. Write a script to find the majority element. If none found, then print -1. And a majority element in the list is the one that appears more than floor, the size of the list divided by 2. Okay, so example 1 here is we get an array which has got 1, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2. And it says output is 2, as 2 appears 4 times in the list, which is more than the floor of 7 divided by 2, should be, what, 3.5. Is that right? No, 7 divided by 2. What's that? 7 divided by 2. 3.5. Oh, and yeah, 4 times. So that's, yeah, larger than 3.5. Cool. Okay. So that's all cool. And then we've got a second example there. So let's go ahead. Hi, Mohammed. I hope you're well. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm just going to switch across to my terminal. Like I said last week, I'm exploring using ZSH at the moment. It's new to me. It looks a bit funky. I'm using OMyZSH, I think it's called, to give this sort of layout. And then I make it fairly big. If it's not clear enough, you can't read it, let me know. Yeah, so let's have a crack. So the first thing I normally do, I'll clear up the embarrassing mistakes I've made, is I'm going to make a directory for this called PW. What are we up to? 74? Is that right? 74? It is 74, right? Yeah. PW74. Let's just switch into PW74. So I'm just going to use screen. This is force a habit as much as anything. I'm going to make a bunch of them. What I normally do is in my first window, I normally have the test I'm writing. In the second one, I normally have the code I'm writing, and in the third one, I normally have the tests I'm running. So, and in Perl land, that's going to be Perl -lv. Yep, doesn't work. And the obvious reason for that is there's nothing there. So let's make a T directory, and let's vim t / let's just call it basic.t. And if you've watched a few of these now, you'll know I have sort of a way that I tend to start these things off, do them all the same way. So use test, test2 v0, done testing, like that. And then we switch back to window 3 and do prove alv. We've got a syntax error already. Yep. Yep, it's double colon in Perl for the modules. come back here, run my command. So that ran okay, and it failed because it's got no tests. So let's do the other thing I tend to do is just go watch. So this will run every, 2 seconds? Yep, so it's just going to run my tests every 2 seconds, saves me worrying about it. And we can just go, okay, 1, this should pass the tests. Yep. And make them fail again. Yep. We know everything's working. Okay, so then what I tend to do is I like to do this. I set it a target, which is going to be the package that I'm testing. And tonight's package, Matthew, will be, what's this actually called? It's called majority element. So let's just call my library majority. And this should fail because it can't find majority.pm, so it can't find the module. So let's go over here. So I've got my T directory. Let's make a lib directory because that's where we keep them. And we'll call it lib / majority.pm, like that. And in Perl we just, oops. In Perl land, all we want to do is it's a package called, what do we say, majority. And then all you need is just to make it so it's true, put a 1 at the end. And not okay 1. And that's because I'm still saying that. And this should now be happy again. Yep. So it's all fine. So we've got a package, we've got a test file, test suite's running, life is good. So what we want to do is I'm just going to switch over here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab this and switch back to here. And what we can, I'm just going to sort of flesh this out like this. So this is our examples. And just for now, what I'm going to do is I'm just, oops, is I'm going to comment those out. But we're going to do this based on what these say. So what we can do is I'm going to actually create a little subtest called, let's just call it example 1, right? Why not? I'm just going to set something up, so I'll just be back in a sec. Okay, so we're just going to create this subtest. Sorry, I'm back. If you've got any questions, comments, throw them in the chat. The chat's up on, I've got a vertical monitor over here if you saw the tweet. So I have sort of the Twitch chat up here on the top, OBS down here in the bottom so I can see what's going on there. Not too many drop frames tonight, which is nice. Pleasant change. Not going into the browser tends to help. Lance is going to buy a desktop system at some point soon, maybe, if I can ever stop procrastinating, and then eventually buy one which is out of date the day after I buy it, which is my normal way. Anyway, we were writing a test, so we're going to create a subtest for example 1. So we just use this subtest, fat comma, sub, braces, and a semicolon. And what we're going to do is we are going to, what does this test look like? So what does this code work like? So we're going to say, when we use the target thing, we can just go, is like the most basic thing. So we go class, which is majority, and we're going to call the element, I think was the name of the majority element. Let me just pause once more. Right, okay, sorry. Try and concentrate. Right, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have a method off this called element. So it would look like, and I guess we could actually do this by going majority element, like majority element. That might work. I haven't tried it for a while. And we're going to feed it an array. Let's so we've already got this from the example. So let's just say my a equals that. So let's pass that into here. It's in capitals just because that's where it came. And the example says it should return 2. Yeah. Okay, so let's just go with that. This will fail my test. Should this be? Is that just not liking that? So that's what it looks like. So let's go for this. Okay, so it can't find the element package. That's what we'd expect. Just remember that that is your, it's like majority element. If I did it differently, but this way I don't need to worry about that. So it's failing that. So let's go to here. And we're going to create a sub called element. And just do that. So that's the most basic we can do. And that should make the test passed. Yep. So, well, I lied. It doesn't work. But it fails with a different error. And let's just 2. So this should work. And this should pass our test. Yep. So example 1 is now okay. So my subtest 1, example 1 passes. So let's go down here. And what we're going to do is we're going to just replicate that here. So subtest, this is going to be example 2. And we're going to make the A array equal, I'll just manually do it. So it's 1, 3, 1, 2, 4, 5. And we're going to pass it again just in the same way. And the answer should be -1. And guess what? Oops. It failed. So example 1's still okay. Of course it is, because it's just returning the number 2. And example 2 is not okay because it's not returning -1. Why not $class? Sorry, that was just me being lazy. Yeah, I'll return to that now. I thought I could do it, but then if I don't use $class, then I have to actually use the library and all that sort of jazz, I think. So the nice thing about test2 v0 is when you do the target thing, it already looks in lib and all that good stuff. Cool. Okay, so what's next? So we have 2 failing tests. That makes me happy, bizarrely. Doesn't sound like it's something I should be happy about, but it is. Let's just do, why did I do that by hand when I can use Perl tidy? Doesn't make a huge amount of difference, but I can tidy it up a little bit. Okay, so yeah, so the most simple thing that could work for the first test was just returning 2, because yeah, because that's a thing, right? So let's get rid of that. And what we need to do is we actually have to get the input, so we'll do this normal little Perl dance. I've got to stop looking at my keyboard, because every time I look at the keyboard I become a much worse typist. See, look slows me down. Okay, so @ for non-perlers is the arguments. We are going to do, it's pretty idiomatic, go self, and then let's call it $A, I think is what it was. This will fail my tests because it's now returning the array, or the size of the array, because it's in a scalar context. So it fails, and the reason it's an 8 here, up here, unless I'm very much mistaken, is because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 elements in the first array and 7 in the second one. So I've assigned a, it's a bit odd, but anyway, that's just, it's returning the result of this. So what I could do, I can do something interesting like warn at A, and this will fail in new and interesting ways. Yep, so just warning that out. So it's just done that to it. You can see it error out nicely. So we've got the array is what we think it should be. 1, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2. Just check that against that. 1, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2. So that's all good. So we've got the right thing. We're passing in the right elements. And my what is it called? It's be all. What I'm going to do is going to just do this. So I'm going to start off by setting it to -1, which is the default value according to the assignment. And actually, you all spotted that earlier, right? Sorry, just looking at the chat. So yes, I believe use test2 v0 gives you strict warnings for free. I'd have to check. Should we check that? Let me just do this, and then we'll go have a look. Return majority element. Yep, cool. And if I just stick the sigil on here for a scalar, this should return. So my test should pass the second one and not the first one. Yep, so example 2 passes because that's now -1, and the first one fails. So what Mum was asking in the chat there was, does it give us, do we get use strict news warnings for free? So let's just do what any good we should do. We should have it open anyway, right? There's MetaCpan.org. I'm going to be going here anyway, but it's already, because I think I have an idea of how to do the next part of this and a cheat, maybe. I have 2 ways of solving this problem, I think. But let's see. What does it say here? Description. I'm going to look silly if it doesn't, aren't I? Control F for warnings. No, this is going to not be quite what I want. Oh, there you go. Sorry, yeah. So pragmas. All of these can be disabled. So strict is turned on for you. You can disable this with no strict or no pragmas. So I could do that. If you can read that, let's make it a bit bigger. So yeah, we could turn off. So strict and warnings, I was right. You're right. I should check, right? So we've got no strict and no warnings is turned on by default, but you can turn it off if you want. Should code intentionally, so I should have known that for sure. I'm going to pretend that I had checked that myself once before. Okay, so how are we going to solve this problem? So my idea here is I'm going to set the majority element to -1, which is a bit of a magic number, but let's not get into setting up constants or anything. And then what we have to do is work out the floor. Is that what it's called? And this is going to be at a, what was it, divided by, is it in my test or doesn't it? 7.2, what's the, oh, and the, oh, we need an input, right, don't we? How does this work? Let's go back to our challenge. No problem. I'm going to ask you a question in a minute if I don't understand this question again. So the majority element in a list is the one that appears more than floor. Size of list divided by 2, so it's always just divided by 2. Is that right? So this is always just that. Let's hope. Let's just turn the sound down a bit while they start waffling on the radio. So let's, what I'll do is I should start off with, let's put a equal sign in there, because otherwise it's not real. I'm quite curious what the time delay between when I say stuff and people seeing it is. Okay, so that's back to normal. So let's just, yeah, let's just warn floor. Let's see what that does. So it's 0 there and it's 0 there. Is that right? That can't be right. What have I done wrong? Not used to using capitals in my yep, so 3.5 and 3. I think those are the right numbers. Yeah, I saw that earlier. So 3.5 and 3. So my floor is correct. So, and then what we're looking to do is we're trying to find, let's just, I'm just going to cut and paste this so that I don't have to come back here. Not that I don't like it. Yeah, it's pretty tidy, right? Having a bit of a typo battle with myself. So let's paste that in there. It's a bit long, so Perl Tidy won't like that very much. So let's just turn that into a comment. Okay, so it's the majority element in the list is the one that appears more than the floor. So I've got the floor now. So let's go, we want to loop around all the elements. I know what I want. So I can solve this one way. Should I do it the easy way first or the manual way? Assuming I've got the package installed. So I'm going to go with the lazy way, because why should I reinvent the wheel? So there's a package we can use. And we should use, what we should do is use strict. And use warnings in this package because I'm not using moo at the moment, and I'm going to use list more utils. I think that's the right spelling of it. Apparently not. So what I'm going to do is I had a quick think about this afternoon before I started. So list more utils, so it's capitalized. So list more utils, for those of you who don't know it, is a module that has a whole bunch of utilities for lists. Clues in the name, really. So it's list more utils. And if we skip down to the synopsis, so for those of you who aren't Perl developers, MetaCpan is the place to go. CPAN is an amazing repository of modules. It's huge. It's amazing. It's been around a really long time, and it has lots and lots of cool stuff in it. List more utils. List utils is a great module. List more utils is a great module. Has a bunch of stuff. MetaCpan is kind of an updated version of the original. The nice thing about anything you do in the Perl world is if you publish a module, some of the things I really love is we have MetaCpan, and MetaCpan gives you a really nice HTML output. You can get to the changelog, the homepage for the module, instructions on how to contribute if the author's done that. Git repo, so in this case it's a GitHub repo. It's got 14 stars, 21 forks, and 4 open issues. And the last commit was on the 14th of April 2018, so not a lot happening there. This testers is CPAN testers, so every single module that gets sort of uploaded to MetaCpan, there's a bunch of servers and people run these servers that run all the tests, like I've written today against the module, and they just run it. And you can see here it's got 7,456 passing, 23 failing, and 2 where it's not applicable. And what we can do is, I'll just load that up in the background, is that will tell us all sorts of good stuff about what's failing. So as a module author, it's super cool because it runs it on Linux, Windows, Mac, FreeBSD, probably, I think, a bunch of other stuff. And you get a report like this where if you write your module and it's got a problem, if I just make this a little bit bigger, you can see this specific module in Perl 5.18 on Linux, GNU Linux, and here's the OS version and the architecture. It's got a failure, and the same with FreeBSD, Solaris, OpenBSD. You can see 526 FreeBSD, 524 FreeBSD on ARM. It's got a fail of some description, right? So it's really useful if you're a module developer because it all gets tested for free, and it's this version of Listmore, and you can look at all the old versions, and like it's super handy. You can get an RSS feed, JSON feed, and you can really see what's happening with your module that people are kindly testing for you. And that's just something you get for free from the Perl community. So before, things like Travis CI and Circle CI and all these code quality things that are out there now, CPANTS was there doing that. We also get the quality score, code coverage, the license, it's all there. It's super fabby. So list more utils is what I'm going to use. And it's capitalized here. Where's my thing on this keyboard? That one. Can't find the tilde on this keyboard often. Okay, so it looks like I've got that module installed already because it's not throwing an error saying can't find the module. So that should make my life a little easier. And the reason I wanted to do that was because I saw a module that I wanted, which was frequency. So the frequency of the list returns an associative list of distinct values and the corresponding frequency. So it is going to return associative lists of these things. So let's see what it does. Let's just try it. Frequency, the values of this. Let's just see what happens. I've not used it before, so always try something new. So let's see if my associative list. Let's just make it a scalar for now so I can do this. So this is going to be, what did we say, frequency? Equals, and how's that? Let's go back and have a quick look at that module. It's literally just called frequency. Is it multiple? Sorry. Frequency. Frequency at A. And let's use everybody's favorite data dumper and warn dumper and see what that actually gives us. No, we don't want to do that. We want to go here. What's this saying? Array found when an operator expected on line 16. Near frequency at A. Do you need to pre-declare frequency? So if I've failed to use this, did I spell it wrong? Doesn't. Oh, do I need to declare it up here? Is it not exported by default? Let's just have a quick check. Yeah, it doesn't look like it. So let's just be explicit about what we want out of this module. So we want frequency. Hopefully that's all we needed. Okay. A little unexpected. I expected more. Oh, it's an at? Oh, okay, so let's have a look at that. It's a bit confused. One comma one. Okay, so let's do what we want. I don't know why it doesn't return. It'd be nice if it just returned a hash. Why does it do it that way? Could we just... Does it just work? Let's just see if it works. This might work. I severely doubt it. But let's see. That's kind of exactly what I wanted. Why didn't I do that in the first place? Okay, Mohammed, if you're still watching, I'm really curious what the time lag is between when I talk to you and when you type stuff, because I keep looking over and seeing stuff. So I'm going to count to 3, or 3, 2, 1 it, and on 1, or just after the 1, on 0, let's say on 0, do you want to just say hello in the chat? So let's go. 3, 2, 1, and let's see how long it takes if hopefully you hit the button and I'll see that you said it. Right. Okay, yes, so that's returning absolutely everything that we want. So then we just have to check if these things are greater than the floor and then return it. Okay, so there's not... I see your hello message, so the lag isn't too bad. So is that right? We just need to... let's... how do we do this? I want to get... there's probably a smart way to do this, but... what do we we going to call this? For my element, which is the keys of the frequencies. My naming's kind of lame now. So let's just make it a little more verbose than I might like it. So just to make it easier to sort of talk it through as I do it. So if the if frequencies, it's a hash, I can just do it this way. String element is greater than the floor, right? Then we can set majority element to equal the this is where I, as anybody who's worked with me will tell you, that this is when my super verbose names become a bit rubbish. Oops. And let's, just for the sake of argument, don't know if I'll need it, but let's just say last. So it'll just return the first one. I hope that's all right. So what does that do? Got 4, expected 2. So the bottom one is okay, but the first one is incorrect. Why is that? Let's have a look at the test. What have I done wrong? Ah, it shouldn't be frequencies element. It should just be element, right? Cool. That looks like it works. Awesome. So yeah, so let's have a look at this. So what we're talking about here, so this is just a bit of, it'll hate this, but let's run Perl tidy. Wasn't as bad as I thought it'd be, but so we've got a package called majority. We use strict and warnings on it. So that's just what you'd expect in a Perl community. That's just going to do those things. If I used moo, I wouldn't need it because it would do that for me. I decided in this example to use list more utils and the frequency method inside there, the function in there, because that's super helpful because that's what we wanted. In my sub that I called element, so we get majority element, I pass in some arguments, and my arguments in this case, just because the way I'm calling it is myself, so self because it's kind of doing this OO fashions because it's a package, and an array of elements of integers, and it's just A. And then I do this little thing where I get the majority element is -1, so I set it to default -1, so no matter, if nothing else happens, it's going to return that. We calculate the floor, and the floor is just the number of elements in A. So in Perl 5, if you just use something, an array in the scalar context, it's going to convert it into the number of elements in the array. So that's going to give me how many things in the array. We divide it by 2, magic number. I'm going to excuse that because I've got this comment up here that explains it's a magic number. Maybe it's not, but anyway. Then I'm going to create a hash. Well, there is scope to tidy up the documentation for frequency. I might submit a PR. The system works. I do something and somebody else does work. It's great. As the CPAN author, CPAN_author on Twitter, I'm not surprised that you'll do a PR. How many have you got this month, Mohammed? Not many. Not many by your standards, or not many by normal people standards, because you always do loads. I know you haven't done as many, like you're not doing as many as you used to do, but come on. Double digits? You did like dozens, one every day sort of thing, right? So double digits. Okay, cool. Anyway, right, so for those of you who are playing along at home, so yes, like Mohammed says, the frequency, that could maybe have some slightly better documentation for people like me who don't think it through, so that I can just drop it. I found it a bit odd that they dropped it into like an array. I'm not sure if it's modeled off something else or they had a specific reason for that, but for me it made much more sense when we dropped it into a hash, which I think if you're a PHP developer is like a associative array. So we just get the frequency of the elements in that array. Super nice for what we're doing today. And then all I do is loop around all the keys. So associative array, we've got all the elements in the frequency. So we just loop around each element in the array. We could have looped around at A, to be honest, couldn't we? So we could have done, this is shorter, so depending on your attitude, this is what we could loop around that, right? And that should still be the same, that should still work. Yep. So we can do that. I don't know if we need this. I guess if we had a large enough array, we'd end up with the last element in the array rather than that was over the floor rather than the first one. So I don't know if that matters. I guess we could do something nice like sort the do something like sort, do some sort of weird sorting thing on the frequencies to get the highest one, but that's beyond the scope of what we want. But we're just going to jump out at the end here. Yeah, so then if this is simple sort of logic that in our if statement, if it's if the frequency of the element is greater than the floor, we just make our majority element equals that, so it's no longer -1, and we just return it at the end. We could just return the element right there and then, like we could just do this. I guess we could do that, and then we could lose that. I have opinions on this. So I like this that it's shorter. I like this because we exit earlier. However, I don't like it because in that then we end up with 2 branches out, if you know what I mean. If we, what was it, Control Y? No, Control R. Or Control R, if I push the right keys. No, it's not going to let me do it. So if we exited, let me go back and do it the way I said, because this is probably not interesting, but I'm going to waffle on about it anyway. So if we do it this way, we lose that last, which is nice. It's shorter, so it's more concise. This and this, though, right? This is for me, if I was caring about this piece of code, I'd have to think about it, because we've now got 2 branches out. So it's all right now because it's nice and small, and hopefully a method would, in this sort of example, would never get much bigger. But I've now got 2 logic branches to contend with. I can exit here or I can exit here. And that may be not great for somebody coming in and working on this later. Whereas this method, when it's like this, it's clear the only place you return from is here. Kind of swings and roundabouts, because I also don't really like this setting majority element at the top and then returning it at the bottom. Maybe if I called it, oh no, if I called it default, might be not, no, I don't like it either way, but swings and roundabouts, right? And that's what we do as developers, is choose the right one. It's a for loop, so you could do a map or something as well, but you don't really have to. I wouldn't want to. Maps make my head hurt. So yeah, if we come back here and look at the test, again, I'm using test2 v0. I'm using this target, what is a function, I guess, which lets me set the name of the module I'm testing. So I don't have to do any craziness of going, I don't have to do stuff like use lib, you know, lib, I don't know if you have to do this, and then use majority like that, and then all that sort of jazz. It makes it nice and tidy. As we talked about earlier, the nice thing about using test2 v0 is it gives us strict use warnings, so that's pretty common, right? I guess in Perl 7 they'll probably have it as default for everything all the time to use strict no warnings. These are our examples, just cut and pasted from perlweeklychallenge.org. I just called my subtest example 1 today. This is the array, and all I do is I call my class, so that's majority, the method of it, element. I pass in the element of, the array, and then I'm testing that it returns 2. I'm not doing any, not doing any validation. I'm not being very defensive in how I do things when I'm doing these sorts of things. And then my second example is to return -1, and I'm just checking that. Yeah, and it works. So cool. Okay, so to the melodious sounds of Public Enemy on WeFunk Radio, if you can hear that vaguely in the background, this is the new version 2020. I'll just turn that down so we don't get copyright infringement. So yeah, thanks for watching along. So especially thank you, Mohammed, for keeping me company and having somebody to chat at as we go along. I'll upload this one to YouTube as well. So I'm doing it on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/LanceW. I have a channel on YouTube that I'm uploading. Well, I'm uploading the good ones. Last week's one I wasn't happy with, so I didn't upload it. But this week's one went pretty well. What have we done? The stream's been running for about 50 minutes. So yeah, it wasn't too bad, hopefully. I'll try and blog about it if I can. I might try and have another shot at task 2 on Thursday night, or do it in a different language, something like that. I may even do it as a script properly, like you say we should do, but I'm, as you know, Mohammed, kind of lazy and don't do it properly and just sort of hack it to the point where I do it too. Anybody else who's watching this later, yeah, really happy doing this. It's really cool to be part of the Perl community a little bit, and just to join in and support the Perl Weekly Challenge. Really enjoying it at the moment. You can do all that good stuff, like, subscribe, comment, I guess. Other than that, if you want to get hold of me, you can just find me everywhere. Normally Lance W gets me most places. Lance works on the internet in the real world. At Lance W on Twitter and most things like that. Do say hello. Really, it's really interesting when people reach out and say hello. Got a really interesting email from someone in Brazil this week, based on some stuff I've done. So I get a real buzz from that. So do say hello. Once again, thank you to, he's always here. Mohammed, thank you for watching along and commenting in the chat there. Really appreciate it. And I'll hopefully see you all on Thursday night. Okay. Thanks very much, and have a good week.